How was that lunch? Pretty good, huh? Yeah, I thought it was great. Thank you for the lunch, Brian. Greatly appreciate that. So I got to get you back going again. You had a nice lunch. You're all relaxed. Got to wake you up. All right. This module is kind of a combination of a few things. And if you have questions on stuff, fire away. That's cool. This is just some of the tools we've got available. Some of Brian's tools are in here. Some of the First Heartland tools are in here. Anything to make your life easier, that's what this is dedicated to. And as Matt said, we'll go ahead and we'll do this module. I'll give you guys a break if you're good. And then we'll come back and we'll nail it on some case studies, and we'll do a lot of interaction on that because we're going to apply some of the things that we were talking about earlier in those case studies. So that's where that comes back around on that. So on tools you can use, we're going to open up here with this piece here from Secure Insurance Group on a quote request. So Brian and I were talking about this a little bit when we were kind of formulating the plan on this, and we want to make it easy for you to know where some of the tools are and how easy it is to get a request done. So one of the ways, the first way you could probably start is this form right here. It is a quote request form, and it asks for all of the data that you need to input to get a quote run for you. And the more you can put, the better. The more you can get it. If it's a complex case and you've got design issues or something like that, I would speak with Brian on that or one of his teammates. But this is a great starting point. Getting a quote request on whatever it is the case you're working on to kind of expedite things a little bit. The more information, the better. And then you can fire that tool over to, I think it's got a fax number on here, or an email rather. Yeah, you can send that right over to Brian when it's completed. And then of course, if you have questions on it, I'm certain that, Brian's team is great and can answer any questions on quote requests. But this is a great starting point on cases you're working on if you need to have that design started. Brian, I don't know if you wanted to chat about this form in particular or not, or any comments on this usage or anything?
On the Secure IG website, there's a live quote request form on there. If you fill that out, that comes to me, and I'll forward it to First Heartland, most likely depending on what the quote is. Or you can just email illustrations@firstheartland.com, and they'll run the quotes directly and email them directly to you. So there's two different ways to do it. So the first one is to go to Secure IG website, or you can run the quote yourself too, depending on what product there is. Now, the one I always send it to is illustrations@firstheartland.com. I wouldn't wear the marketing team.
You can use either.
Okay.
Yeah, in this instance, I put the marketing team one up there, but piggybacking on what Brian said, if you want to go direct to First Heartland, we're happy to take the ball and run with it. You can call the marketing department directly. We've got 4 people in there working on illustrations. You can send that in via email request. Again, the more information, the better. As much as you can supply us with, the better the output. And then also on the firstheartland.com website, and I'll show this to you in just a second, you go into the home, insurance tools, insurance request, and you can click right onto it and fill it out and send it in right from there. So lots of different ways to get the ball rolling on the illustration requests. And if you need anything in the interim, certainly reach out and you can just chat with us, talk through the case design, whatever you need on it. Try and make that as easy as possible for you guys, for sure. So this is what it looks like on the firstheartland.com website. So you just hit that home, insurance tools, and then you're right on here. You can still see where my cursor was when I printed this thing. Right there is illustration request. And there's a lot of stuff in here under insurance tools. I'll leave that up here so you guys can, hopefully you can see that okay. But there is different things on here. There's calculators on here. There's long-term care quotes, product and underwriting. And I've got a few slides dedicated to some of the different things on here, but lots of good stuff and not a lot of places you have to go to find it. So hopefully that, home, insurance tools, and then that'll illustrate, or that'll show you a lot of different things that you can get to on the website. The website, incidentally, as we speak, is under construction. So the home page looks a little different than this in the background, but it's still in the same place. So you don't have to relearn, oh my God, where was that stuff? It's in the same place. It just looks a little different, snappier colors and some other cool stuff, but same location for all of the tools on there.
Yeah, that drop ticket feature, I came from like a captive P&C life company,
Mm-hmm.
and so it would take, sometimes weeks to get, the right case illustration.
Oh, no kidding.
And then months to get, to get a case underwritten and approved. the drop ticket feature has been really good
Cool.
for, younger clients that just need a lot of term.
Yep.
So,
Cool. Good to hear. That's great to hear. Yeah, the drop ticket feature on there is good. And there's a couple other things I'll show you too that are equally as impressive time-wise. That we'll go through that a little bit too. So glad to hear that. I appreciate your checking that out. So a little bit on underwriting. I think it's good, and some of you are newer, so I'll address this a little bit on that. So underwriting is a necessary evil of life insurance. It is an unfortunate reality, and I think the more you're prepared for it, it's a process, the better off you're going to be. It's not a transactional occurrence, writing life insurance. It's going to take some time. And you can prepare your client to understand that and know that too, that it's not an overnight, in most cases, process that happens. Now, we'll look at some examples here in a little bit on how much faster that has gotten over the years, and on term insurance specifically, how quick the process can really be. But generally speaking, on a larger case or someone with health issues, underwriting is a process. You have to go through it. The more information you can arm the underwriter with, the better it is. The more information you've got, give it to the underwriter. If you want to articulate a particular case, for example, if it was a business planning case like we talked about earlier, I would write a cover letter for sure and explain exactly what it is you're trying to do. So let's say, for example, if you've got the two business partners in that example we talked about earlier, if you were submitting that for cross-purchase opportunity and you had one on each of the partners, you could articulate that in the cover letter that you're submitting a case for both of them. And that way you have a better opportunity of getting one underwriter to underwrite both cases. Much faster for you, much happier client. So that would come out of writing a cover letter, articulating that to the underwriter as best you can. This is Mustangs Unlimited. They have $2 million revenue. I've included some documents supporting the revenue to prove what it's worth, et cetera. And explaining that to the underwriter, man, they will love it. They will love it. So the underwriter, they want to be your friend. You want to make them your friend for sure. You don't want them not to be your friend because then that's going to add time to everything. Make friends with them if you can. Be nice to them. They're good people. They really are. But they like cover letters. When you can spell it out for them, they don't have to guess. They don't have to try and figure out the puzzle pieces and put it together. Oh, this is what Holden's talking about. I know. No, cover letter. If it's complicated in any way or a business case, or you just want to make sure they get it, write the cover letter, submit it in there with the case. It can't hurt you. It can't hurt you. It can only help you. So I would strongly recommend that in underwriting and working with them. Make them your friend. Let them get to know you a little bit. That's all good. So on the website for underwriting, you can go in here and get some insight into what it will take to underwrite a case. And I would always recommend this as well. We've got it for all the carriers that we offer, over 30 now, where you can go into the underwriting tab on the website where I just showed you and get a sense of what is necessary to underwrite that particular case before you even submit it. So you know if you're in the ballpark. This is a good way to kind of check it out. Like you've got maybe a tobacco user or someone who had a DUI, or there's something that's happened in there that you're not quite sure. This is where I would start. Take a look at it, go in there and click through the underwriting on what's necessary. So as an example here, I just used Banner Life term tenure. So you'd select them in the drop-down box, and this is Banner. And then this is your underwriting criteria to get preferred plus, preferred tobacco, et cetera. All your categories are here. It gives you good insight into if you got a shot at this or not. This is kind of the first place I would start to take a look at it, so we ain't gonna get this one, or this still might be preferred. Great tool. All the companies, we've got as much underwriting information as we can put on there for that reason. I think it's an underused tool because some people just don't know it's there. But now none of you can say that because now you all know it's there. So great tool, very friendly, just a drop down. You can zip through there and find out whatever company it is you're working on. Like I said, I recommend it as a good starting point. Always knowing you want the underwriter to be your friend. The more information you can provide them, particularly in a cover letter, the better. Makes things move a little bit smoother, a little bit faster for you. So this is on the drop down under the insurance tools as well. It's called X-Ray. It's at the very bottom in that drop down insurance tools. It was the last thing listed on there. And X-Ray is to give you insight into as much information as you can plug in there. If you've got height and weight, blood pressure, some of that information, if you've gotten a hold of some medical stuff, you can put it into X-ray and it'll give you a little more better look at a more detailed case. So the more information you've got, X-ray might be a good tool for that. Maybe you're beyond the first one we just looked at because you've got more stuff already. X-ray is a good tool on the website to get a sense of that. Well, he's 5'9", has cholesterol level is X, 220 pounds. X-ray will give you a sense of what carrier would be more likely or less likely to want that risk. All right, so, and it's very simple. You just fill in as much as you've got. If you don't have certain criteria, that's okay. It just won't look at it then. So the more you've got on X-ray, a little better job it'll do. It's not definitive, but it will certainly take you in the right direction for sure. So X-ray is a tool on there. The more information you've got on that, like I said, if you've got a little bit of medical, you can just plug and play on this. Check it out and see if it makes sense for a particular carrier.
It's great when you have a person who had previous cancer, heart attacks, diabetics,
Yeah.
More of the major health issues. It's great for that because it'll family health history. It's
Yeah.
great for that because it'll kind of give you a guide of what carriers going to accept it and at what rating at the end.
Actual tobacco.
You got a pilot or a scuba diver.
Yeah, aviation, that's a good one, right? Always seems to come up. Are you instrument rated?
I
Or,
do
you know.
X-ray every single day.
Do you? Excellent. That's great. I think it's a really useful tool. Like I said, that's where you got more information, like Brian said, where you're looking specifically, you know they got diabetes or something in particular. X-ray hopefully will help save you time in which carrier to go to. So pretty cool tool. We have a question? Did someone?
Answered it right there at the end. I was going to say, does it point us towards the carrier that might be most beneficial for them?
Absolutely. You bet. Yeah. Mhm.
Approximately, you might cover this here in a little bit, but approximately how many carriers do you guys have that will take on that high risk for the unideal insured?
We talking high risk?
I mean, not like unreasonable, but like.
We got a handful that can address it. We got 30 carriers-ish, 30, 31. And I'd say there's probably, 5 or 6 that might take a hard look at that. Maybe 3 or 4, depending on how high of a level. But
That's one more leading carriers.
they seem to have a little more appetite for the business. And that changes. This week it could be Prudential, next week it could be Banner or whatever. It's just they evaluate the risk typically annually, sometimes sooner, and say, you know what, we don't want that business now. You see, you might have gone to them last year for it, and this year they're saying, nope. So it's usually about a handful. Answer your question. Good question. Yes, sir.
So I was going to say too, on the secureig.com website, under the education tab, we have videos that walk through X-ray.
Oh, cool.
And
I didn't know that.
Quote engine, all that too. So those are on there too.
Nice. And that's on your guys' website under education. Okay, that is good to know. I didn't realize there was some videos on there. So cool. Makes it even easier to get a little more demo on the tool. Great, thank you. So we were talking about underwriting and speed and accuracy, and this didn't exist when I came into the business. Everything took forever, it seemed like. But now we're in a whole new world. So this is called Bestow. Bestow is the name of the platform, not the company that's underwriting the business. So separate those two things in your mind. Bestow is the platform that you're submitting business on. It's written on North American paper. Okay, so it's a North American case. You'd get appointed with Bestow and North American before you write business. What this is a fully electronic, modern approach to writing term insurance in a fast and expeditious manner. And I've got a couple examples of it, not only Bestow, but we'll talk Symetra here in a minute too. But so this is available in almost all states. So you got 49 states, A-rated company because it's North American. You can do up to $1.5 million in coverage. You can pay with a credit card, Apple Pay or Android. Now I don't have Apple or Android, I have PayPal, and I asked about that, and they're trying to add PayPal, but that's not there yet. So that's coming, but lots of options. Credit card, nice, very easy to do. This is not for juvenile cases or older folks. It's 18 to 60 is the range you're shooting for. The application process with an answer from underwriting is typically about 10 to 15 minutes. Start to finish, no paper ever, no medical ever. fast, easy term insurance on this platform. Again, the platform is called Bestow. You're writing on North American paper. 100% paperless, fully mobile. You can do it on your phone. And it has 10, 15, 20, 25, and 30-year level terms up to $1.5 million. So that's the sort of the range you're looking at. If you know you're writing term business and you want somebody, for example, who does not want to do a medical, there's no way I'm doing a medical no matter what, think Bestow, because there is no medical. They're going to run it through on the few questions that they ask, and you're going to get an underwriting decision very quickly. No paramed, nothing. Very, very quick on that. Yes?
What's the what's the premium variant to something that's fully underwritten?
Good question. I would say it is very competitive in the term space, but you got to realize that the premium is affected by the platform. So in other words, since they're giving you this process, it's baked into the pie. So it's going to be more in some cases, not a lot more, some cases less. So I would say run it along with whoever you like to do normally and see where Bestow comes in. But I think you'll like the process overall that might, the time involved and the pennies on the difference might make this the choice.
It's about 15% higher typically, somewhere in that ballpark.
Is that what you're finding on yours? Okay. Yeah, they say depending on where you are age-wise, male, female, and all that, that's going to factor into it, of course. But if you're seeing it at 15, they say it's more like 6 to 7%, maybe a little bit higher to start-ish, just to give you a sense of it.
So it's 60, the deadline cut off?
Yeah.
Like 161?
No, yeah, not right now. And right now on the platform, it is only available for term, although they are telling me that they're trying to get a whole life product approved on this chassis as well. So you'll be able to do a whole life product. Don't know the particulars of the size of the cases and all that yet, but that's their aim, is to make it more broad-based, not just term. So
Are they convertible terms or?
they are not. Yep, good questions on that.
What are those simplified questions?
It is basically, I don't know if I've got the example in here. I can give you a few of those, but on the underwriting process, so you've got everything from elite to, essential non-tobacco. Premiums are competitive compared to traditionally underwritten. So they say competitive. Brian's finding to 15%. The demo I saw was 6 to 7%. So it's going to be in that range on there. The COVID question, which obviously is front and center right now in everybody's world, if the applicant tested positive for COVID-19 or has been treated in the last 30 days, they'll say wait and come back. So they're kind of upfront about it as much as they can be and reapply in 60 days. This is something interesting I learned on this too, Brian. I don't know if you're aware of this, but if you applied on Bestow and did not get approval, it is not an MIB hit. So it's not a formal decline that would show up on MIB. It's just a we didn't make an offer today. So if that's relevant to the case you're working on and you use Bestow and you don't get the offer, it's not detrimental on the MIB. So that's good to know, I thought. Yes?
What was my question? Are they pulling an MIB or?
Yes. They're pulling MIB and MVR and prescription. Yeah. They're going to look at all that and they're going to look at it really quick. That brings back to, Tony, your questions on what is in there. It's all basic questions. There's nothing complex in there. Now, if you go in there and say, you're insulin dependent or something, it'll open up more questions and it gets more involved. But the general array of questions are very standard questions. Yes?
On the standard questions, so let's say someone does get COVID, and then after the 60 days, they reapply.
Mm-hmm.
Is it just the same question? There's no going into what was about their hospital stay with COVID or anything? No.
If they, let's say like in most cases where they recover, they're better, and there might not even be a medical footprint on it, you're good to go. Yeah, I'm glad that they addressed that up front too, because COVID, obviously, people are very concerned about how that's going to affect them. But even if they did and COVID came up and they were treated and Bestow came back and said, we're not able to make an offer today, it's still not a hit on the MIB. So the next company you go to doesn't see that as a detrimental, if that makes sense. So pretty cool on that. they have a agent portal on here on bestow.com and then agents.bestow.com where there is a couple of demos on here, and I didn't have them all built into this presentation because I didn't want to take away from all the other tools, but there is a couple of videos on there showing you how you can do it with your phone. You get a link as the agent that you forward to the client. The client can open that link on their phone and do it in 10 minutes and send it back and get an underwriting decision. Same day. Very, very quick. And like I said, all phone available or tablet, iPad, all of that accessible for the link on it. And it keeps you in the loop on what's happening on it. So you would get the link for the client submits it, all the questions, the client fills it out, client answers the questions, hits send, the underwriting decision comes back. Very, very slick, very, very, very quick turnaround. On the agent section here, there's a bunch of stuff. I think any question you might have with a particular case or design or something like that is on this portal. So there's sales flyers if you want to promote it. You can put this on your website if you have a personal website, and there's a link that can be clicked on and it goes right into the application process. Very, very cool, very easy for you. Marketing, some demo tools. There's an agent handbook, which I did look at, and it's very comprehensive. I think it would answer just about any case question you might have. And then some additional facts on there, but easy website, very easy to navigate through. I say check it out if you get some time, and then look at the demo on it where they show them plugging the information into their phone and how easy it is to get through the process. So again, it's a market where you're looking at no medical, no paper, turnaround in 15 minutes, up to $1.5 million of coverage, 18 to 60. So that's your market. That's your market right there. If you know it's somebody who's not necessarily fit in there, or a juvenile case or something like that, go on to the next player. So it's designed specifically for that marketplace. Any questions on Bestow before I move on?
What was the minimum face amount again?
Pardon me?
What was the minimum face amount?
Minimum down to 50, and then max coverage $1.5 million.
Is this a just-in-time contracting, or how does that work?
Get appointed beforehand. Yeah, don't submit a case and then try and get appointed. It's going to take a while. Get the appointment with Bestow and North American before the case.
Is it, if somebody's already with North American, is it a separate?
Separate. Yeah. Know that going in. That's a great question. So it involves 2 appointments, one with Bestow, one with North American. If you do that before the case, better than after. Otherwise, it'll delay it. But if you do it that way, it is pretty quick. The appointment process, if you go that way, it'll turn around pretty fast.
So I would just go to contract@secureig.com and email them asking for Bestow.
There you go. Yeah. I love that. Good plug.
Good plug, yeah.
Again, not planned.
Way to guide that.
So smart.
So another option, and we'll have a testimonial on this in just a few minutes from Mr. Askins, but this is the Symetra Swift Term. And I can point to a couple of differences between Bestow and this one. This goes up to $2 million in coverage. So if you need a larger term case, the Swift Term might be your answer. Also fully electronic, also pretty quick as far as turnarounds go on it. And I think the age is right around same. I think it's 18 to 60 as well. So close to the same market as Bestow. This is all term. And I don't think this one has a 25-year term, but it has all the same offerings in the term space. And Brian has done a couple of cases recently with Symetra. And Brian, I was hoping you could just chat a little bit about your experience on it and tell us how easy that was to use.
Yeah, I ran a quote, and they came up as the least expensive of all carriers. And so, and it said Symetra Swift Term, so I thought I'll try it. And I tried it on a couple of business owners. I did $2 million on 2 business owners. And so it sends them a link. As soon as they complete their stuff, it's issued within 15 minutes. And so one of them did it that evening. So it issued that same day that I submitted it for $2 million, and he got preferred. The next one didn't do his till the next morning, and it's still issued within 15 minutes of that, and
Cool.
he got preferred also. So it was $2 million, and it was the best rate available, period,
Nice.
anywhere. And it was 15 minutes, and it was, and the application literally took maybe 5 minutes.
Mm-hmm. Nice.
Maybe 5 minutes, and that's probably on the long end. So,
Excellent. Yeah, there's so much competition now in the term space for the quick turnaround, the quick underwriting. That's to your advantage, absolutely. I mean, there's some great platforms that weren't available, even 2 years ago, where you can do stuff really, really fast. And the Symetra Swift term, as Brian said, has been really, really good. Also quick, a little bit higher face amounts, up to 2 million. Good stuff.
What's the minimum on that?
That's a good question on the minimum. Let me see if I've got that. I want to say this is 100. Brian, do you recall?
There is I think it is 100.
I think it's 100.
Right there, too. Right there.
Yeah. And then a max of 2 million, yes. So that was the other difference between Bestow, is it was
You have to be just contracted with Symetra.
correct.
So,
One appointment on that one.
one appointment.
Yep.
Is this just in time? Or get this ahead of time?
You can do this one just in time, I think. Brian, how did you do yours?
you can do just in time.
Just in
for this
time.
one.
Yep.
Now, the only negative to this whatsoever is you cannot change the owner to a business. Because I tried it on some more business owners, and where the business was going to be the owner, and come to find out you couldn't do that. So they've not filed that particular thing with the states yet.
Got it.
Each of the states, to where the person, the individual, the insured, has to be the owner on this one.
Perfect. Cool.
Issue ages?
Except there at the top there.
Yeah, I can't read it that well with it. I think it's
Looks like it's either 30 or 20.
on this one. Let me see if I've got another slide on that. I think it's up to 60.
I think it's 18 to 60, but.
Whoops. I believe it is also 18 to 60. Yeah. So same market, right?
But it was a tremendous process. Very, very, very process.
I know you said there's no 25, but what is it? 15, 20, 15, 30?
10, 15, 20, 30, no 25. Bestow's got the 25, which, is anybody writing 25? I don't know, maybe.
Did you say 10, 20, and 30?
15 as well. What's the most common term written and has been for the last, since I've been in the business?
20 years, 30.
How many think it's 10? How many think it's 20? How many think it's 25?
I say 20.
30? It's 20. 20 by a lot. What do you think the average face amount typically on that 20-year is? 100? Any other?
250.
Ding, we got a winner, 250. 20-year 250, most common written term all the time. Why do people pick that? I don't know. Because they think 20 years, that'll cover it. That'll cover a big chunk of my life or whatever. Right? Yeah. Yeah, they get it written on there. So
What's the percentage of collapse?
that's a good, I don't know that stat. That's a good stat. I do not know. I know it's something like 70 to 75% never pay the death benefit. Yeah. It's very high in the amount that don't actually pay off because they either let it lapse or convert it or whatever. Different things happen on there. So the different opportunities for writing term insurance, you've got the Bestow platform, you've got the Symetra Swift. Do you guys see a lot of opportunity, and this is just for my edification on the learning, is term your go-to in most of the appointments you're running? Is that what you're writing? Is it mostly term business or is it more permanent business? Combination? Okay.
I haven't had a lot of luck on transitional terms. Pekin is one of them that I use on that a good bit, where it starts out when they're young, when they've got all of their mortgages to pay and everything. Pekin has a product that, say you start out at 500,000 term, and then when you reach 65, you have an option to either cash it out for a lump sum of money or drop that 500,000 down to 250 and have it paid up like the way you got it.
Okay, so a return of premium, is that a rider on the,
No, it's just the actual policy.
it's the chassis,
It's the
okay.
full policy.
Interesting. What company is that?
Pekin Life.
Pekin Life. Is that out of Pekin, Illinois by any chance? Is it really? I'd never heard of them. Interesting. I just happen to know that. Cool. On the stuff you're writing outside of term, and then again, this is just so I get a little better sense of where you guys are at. What are you writing that's not term on the permanent? What types of products?
I do
IUL, okay.
Final expense, you know.
Final expense, okay.
Some GUL.
Okay. And I think we only had one registered person here, so probably not a lot of variable stuff going on. Right, okay.
Do you have any traditional whole life products like 10 pay, 20 pay? On the first Heartland?
Yeah, a couple, Emeritus I know for sure jumps out at me as a pay option where you can do that and structure it. And they seem competitive in the last case I was involved in. Yeah, cool. Any thoughts on the term platforms that are available to you? Do you think these are something that would be helpful to writing more term business? Worth checking out? Okay, cool. Any questions on the term chassis we covered? Any thoughts?
One thing I don't like is that, not being able to, have conversion opportunities, I guess. Lincoln or somebody else would be a better fit for somebody that wants to have those conversion opportunities.
You bet.
Down the line.
Yep.
But, give and take.
I think that's coming. I think as we see the first iterations here of the convenience of it, getting the multiple ways of being able to pay, the no medical, they're getting to that ultimately, I think, on the conversion, because, man, it's so competitive. You're going to see somebody be the first one to come out with it, and they'll have a conversion product, and everybody's going to jump, and then the other guys will start doing it too. But yeah, that's a great point, because I like the idea of having it convertible.
When you run it on the regular term Ford engine, all of those carriers are convertible.
Okay.
And so, for example, like Symetra's convertible also, I believe, if I'm not mistaken, it is. And so all the carriers, so what you'll do is go to the carrier links, the underwriting guidelines, and it'll tell you exactly what the conversion options are.
Okay.
For 10 years, to the full retirement, till age 70, or the full length of the term, whatever it is. So.
That's good enough.
When you,
But the only one that's not is like the still product. Everything else should have a conversion option.
when you say, like convertible, are you saying like in 10 years it converts my whole life? Or
All the carriers are different on how long you can do it. Some carriers go the full length of the term, some carriers only go 10 years, some carriers go to age 70, some carriers, it varies by carrier. So you just have to look at each carrier's guidelines.
And what's the difference between a 10-year, 20-year lifetime pay on whole life? I mean, what is the significance in what each one of those mean?
You mean what it's convertible
Like
to?
on whole life, you're talking about a 10-year, a 20-year pay time, I guess?
Okay, right.
And a lifetime pay, what is the significance from a lifetime pay to a 10-year?
Oh, okay. I see what you're saying. So it just depends. It's just on structuring how you want to structure it for that particular client. So it might just be more attractive for them to do it in a 10 pay because they want it done by age 60 or 65, or they don't mind paying it a lower premium for a longer period of time, which would be a lifetime pay. So I think it's just a matter of making that fit, and it's nice to have those options, right? So the shorter the time period, the higher the premium.
When you're doing the LERP, which is the life insurance retirement planning, you're typically, in our scenario, be doing IULs. You're going to do a short pay on those to where you're going to pay till age 65 as an example, because they may start distribution at 66 or 67, whatever age. So you're not going to pay premiums during distribution years. So you're going to early pay to get more money into that contract.
Gotcha.
So where you got a larger, and like for example, if you ever do GULs on children, you always want to do a short pay on those, 10, 15, 20 years short pay options. So anytime you're doing like a GUL or an IUL, I would always ask, hey, show me a 20-year pay and show me a lifetime pay. And you'll see that the 20-year pay in a lot of scenarios is not much more money than the lifetime pay. It's not a ton of premium difference. And they're getting it paid off at a much quicker time period. And so that way they're paying premiums during their working years instead of having to continue to pay premiums during the retirement years.
Yeah, it provides you additional flexibility, additional options. Clients like that. They like that conversation, right? Oh, I can do this for 10 years or 20 or pay continue, whatever the structure works, the product can meet it typically for
And
this.
it's also great just in case that IUL doesn't fund as well, doesn't get the rate of return that it had projected, you're well ahead of the game. If you've overfunded it, instead of paying to 65, now maybe you have to pay to 66 or 67 to get the same results that you were looking at previously, that you had hoped to get,
Cool. Any final thoughts on the tools or anything we covered in this module?
If you don't have access to First Heartland's website, please let us know, and we'll make sure you get access. And there's training videos, several training videos on our Secure IG website. The full training video on how to run quotes, how to run X-ray, how to, and it's one full on just the overall website itself, et cetera. Just there's training videos out there, 10, 15-minute training videos that are they're very helpful to you. But if you ever want a one-on-one training, I'd be glad to get on phone with anybody, walk you through all of this. First Heartland will be glad to do this to where make sure you know how to run all the quotes. And if you ever have any questions on anything, just obviously come to us. So.
One additional plug I'll say, and it's not in the slides here, as far as a tool for you, if you're looking for, particularly in the next 2 months, if you're looking to knock out any hours for your continuing education, for your life insurance licensing, we're going to be we did one webinar last week. It went very well. We had about 25 people on there. It got an hour credit. In March, we're going to do another one for an hour, and then probably April, another. So opportunities for picking up some credits on your life insurance licensing. If you need it, I'm always looking for hours. It seems like that's another tool that's available to you guys. And we send that out to Brian, let him know when it's going to happen. Everybody's welcome to join it. And then you get your certificate. The last one we did, we got certificates out the next morning for your 1 hour CE, which is pretty cool. You sit through an hour, but you get CE credit for it. So another tool, I just plugged that in thought, because that's a good one to have.
All 3 months are the same, or you get?
You get 1 hour for each session you attend.
They're different.
Total of 3 if you make all 3, yeah. And 1 just happened last week, so unless you were on it, 2 are available to you currently.
That's all I need left.
Really? Yeah. That was all I had on tools. Brian, I had a break built into it right in here. I know we just came back from lunch, but I can give them 10 minutes, and then we can come back for case studies, and that will be how we're going to roll through the rest of the day. Did you have anything in addition to fill this time right now, or do you want to go ahead and go with a break?
Let's go to break to 1:30.
Okay. Break to 1:30.